Well, it is now day 2 in the high-profile sex trafficking case involving Sean P. Diddy Combs. Yesterday, we heard some explosive testimony from witnesses who attended some of Diddy's drug-fueled and sex-fueled so-called freak-offs. To give us her take on what we've heard thus far and how it may all play out, we now bring in none other than Virginia attorney Amanda Riemann on the Live Zone. It's good to see you, Amanda. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
So, Amanda, let's jump right into this. I got to tell you, for the last, let's say, 30 or 40 minutes, I have been covering President Trump, now covering Maryland Governor Wes Moore. I have been removed, if you will, with regard to what's currently happening within that courtroom. We know earlier today, Cassie, one of the star witnesses in Diddy's former ex-girlfriend, actually took the stand. I'm hoping you can, in essence, bring me up to speed with regard to what she had to say.
Absolutely. So right now we're dealing with a criminal trial. So the prosecution, they are the ones who bear the burden of proof. They are presenting their case first. Who is their strongest witness? It is Cassie Ventura. Cassie Ventura this morning has stated that she was scared of Diddy, that he would control her, he would call her incessantly, that she was under the influence of drugs at times, whether that's ecstasy or party pills. She also really stated that she couldn't say the word naive more times than she could even think about, because that's how she would describe herself. She was easily influenced. She didn't know what she was getting herself into. And let's not forget that this star witness is pregnant. So she's 8 months pregnant. She's before the jury. Do we have some type of sympathy that's coming? That's something that the defense has brought up this morning as well.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've said this time and time again, this is literally made for a movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first time Cassie and Diddy have actually seen each other face to face in about 6.5 years. But wait, there's more, as they say. It's to my understanding that Cassie's now husband actually entered the courtroom as well, and the defense had a serious problem with this. Apparently, perhaps he too may be called as a witness. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, so the difference between now and what happened with Cassie when she filed her civil lawsuit was she went the civil route. She wasn't involving the prosecution and the Commonwealth or the state. And so what ended up happening was she settled within 24 hours. There was no court hearing. It was just an agreement was reached. There was likely non-disclosures in that agreement. What has happened now is she has to testify. She has been subpoenaed. She's been mandated to appear in this court. And so now that one of the reporters in the courtroom has said that this is a different side of Diddy that we're seeing today. Normally he's, throwing up hearts, he's smiling to people, and he's very somber today. Now, her husband, Cassie Ventura's husband, has been permitted to enter the courtroom. There had been some back and forth. Should we allow him in the courtroom? Because he sent some threatening text messages allegedly to Mr. Combs. There's also some back and forth about, hey, if we want to call him as a witness, we don't want him influenced by the testimony that he hears today.
I got to tell you, well, this is truly amazing. We also know that with regard to Cassie and the relationship she had with Diddy, yet again, they are arguing, they being the defense, that this has nothing to do with domestic abuse and or domestic violence, but in this case, consent. Can you talk about how one would go about to separate the two, if you will?
Absolutely. So the argument here that both sides have gotten to and they've agreed is we're not arguing that violence took place. We can see it plainly on the security footage that there was domestic violence. He's not being charged with domestic violence. However, he is being charged with racketeering. Racketeering is really kind of this broad term we use legally, and that's if you have some illegal activities and they're disguised as a legitimate business and it involves coordinated efforts by multiple people. Well, what are these coordinated efforts? Fraud, bribery, threats, violence. That is why these videos are being brought in, and it can perhaps persuade the jury, but it's going to be up to the prosecution's direct questioning, the defense attorney's cross-examination, and then ultimately closing arguments before the jury is instructed and deliberates on what the outcome for Mr. Combs will be.
Yet again, we are speaking with Amanda Riemann. She is an attorney and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. We were told that when P. Diddy entered the courtroom yesterday, he was carrying a Bible. And not only that, but he was actually reading scripture aloud. What does that say to the jury? Is that a good thing that if you happen to be a defense attorney, would you instruct your client to do just that?
Well, you have to remember that there is a human element to this entire thing. And now the jury that's been selected is made up of men, is made up of women. It's not just one singular judge who's going to decide the outcome of this case. So they could be hoping, oh, well, if he's Christian, then maybe he wouldn't be capable of doing these things. It's also subconscious. So you might think, I'm not going to be influenced if I see someone carrying a Bible, but once you see it, it's still in your brain. That's the argument again with Cassie Ventura. The defense attorneys had asked, I think she needs to be seated when jurors come in. Well, she didn't stay seated. She walked in front of the jury to sit down before she was questioned this morning.
I got to tell you, truly riveting. We are following it step by step as it unfolds right before all of our eyes. Yet again, we have been speaking with Amanda Riemann, a Virginia attorney, kind enough to join us in the live zone. We'll have to have you back, Amanda. Truly enjoyed this.
Thank you.
All right.